All right, so now we'll get started to our very first webinar session. And I understand that research publication is undeniably one of the most significant key factors of academic expertise and academic reputation. Today, we're honored to have two resource speakers who are editors of Scopus Index journals. They will share with us how to crack the code in publishing so we could participate in advancing and disseminating knowledge in the growing global knowledge economy. So let's start with our very first speaker. Our first speaker is an assistant professor at Chulalongkorn University Language Institute. She earned her master's, bachelor's, and Ph.D. at Chulalongkorn University. While a candidate for her PhD, she received a short-term grant to the National University of Singapore. And shortly after graduating, she took a summer course on business English at the University of Washington. Her areas of interest include discourse analysis, pragmatics, and humor study. Currently, she is the editor of the PASA, the oldest journal of ELT in Thailand, which is indexed in Scopus. Everyone, let us all welcome Assistant Professor Dr. Kandaporn Jaroenkitboworn.
How to overcome the challenges. First of all, I would recommend you make a plan. First of all, is to search for a journal or looking for a journal that you are research, that the content of your research is related, and then start writing your paper in a way that it meet the scope, it meets the aim and scope of the journal. Some people may do the opposite, starting with writing his or her paper and then chop around to find a journal that would match with their paper. But I think that is a waste of time. So to be more time saving, you better look for a journal that might be related to or has a scope or has the aim of and a scope that is related to your research, and then start writing your paper in order to meet the journal's scope, the journal's aim. Okay. Suppose that you want to submit your paper to my journal, PASA. So the very first thing that you have to do is to study the website, right? To go to the website in order to study what is it about and what is the scope of this journal is about. If you cannot access the website, it's quite easy today. You just Google it. And then it will bring you to this page. Normally, most of the journals tend to put their information on the homepage, the very first page of their website. For PASA, it is about us that we put our scope here. So this is the very first thing that you should study before starting writing your paper, because it is the first stage that is called editorial screening, or some journal may call it internal review. If you write something that is out of the scope of the journal, so your paper will be immediately rejected, no matter how good your paper is. Okay, so this is so important. Next, apart from writing to meet the aim and the scope of the journal, you have to think about this issue as well. Your research topic should be timely. You should not work on something outdated. Okay, otherwise, again, it can be easily rejected at the very first stage. Next is to study about the journal that you would like to submit your paper. How many types of paper that journal accepts or publishes. For example, PASA, we have 4 categories of articles: research article, academics article, and book reviews that are quite similar to other journals. What is different is we have the third category, which is we call talk discussion paper or idea sharing article. This article is also indexed by Scopus, while book review is not. Okay. One more important thing is the length of your paper that you have to be concerned about. No reviewer can stand reading a paper that is so long. So you should study first that this journal, how long a paper or a manuscript should be. Mine is about 8,500 words approximately. I used to have experience that one author wrote a paper submitted to me, and that paper is 30 pages long. I have to reject it immediately and told that author that could you please make it more concise, okay, to follow our format, okay, because our reviewer may be fainted before finish reading your article. Next is to prepare your format, to prepare your manuscript, to prepare your manuscript to be conform with the format of the journal, because every journal has their own format, and the information tend to be in the submission guidelines that you have to study first. What font type, what size of the characters, line spacing, and what type of references, so that you won't waste the time to rewrite your manuscript. So better start the submission guidelines first and then prepare your manuscript properly. Okay. Next is the language used. This is I'm not sure for the part of journals in the hard science. This issue may not be the big issue for the language used, or because their focus may be on the content. But in a journal of English language teaching or any journal that's concerned language education, your language use should be very good or good enough to communicate to the reviewers. So any paper that the language is so broken could be rejected immediately at the very first stage before it is sent to the reviewers. So you should get it proofread and edited before submission, both of grammaticality and also the style and flow. For style and flow, as a dear editor, I would just check roughly how you organize your writing, how you organize your content. Based on my experience, once there was an author who wrote a paper, the introduction part is just it has only one paragraph, but this paragraph is 1 page long. So I have to reject it immediately and told that author, could you please split this lengthy paragraph into smaller paragraphs, and keep in mind that one paragraph, one theme, and that's it. So don't put everything in one lengthy paragraph. It's like you bombard your reader with a lot of information and providing no pause for them to digest your information. Okay, next we go to the next stage, to the peer review process. Okay, most of the time papers that are rejected tend to have some mistake or some flaws in this part, the methodology part. That the research design is not systematic, or that appears that there's no certain principle to underlie the design, it would affect the findings, and it would question your reviewers that are the results convincing? Okay, so this part is very important. If you make some mistake, if you make it unsystematic, it might be easily rejected. Okay. Next is the contribution. Here I will talk about contribution at the international level. You have to provide new findings, new perspectives. If your contribution provide new findings or new perspectives, but it benefits just a few people, like in your countries, but not benefit or benefit just a little to researchers outside your country. So such a paper can be easily rejected if you want to get published internationally. So think about the contribution that is high enough to share, or it's good enough to benefit researchers outside your country, maybe in your region or around the world. Okay. But the conclusion part is also another important part. Even though it is the last section, don't forget to write the implication. This is so important. Your implication is what's the benefits of what you have got from your finding, from your research. The implication can be either of in terms of theoretical issues. You may falsify the theory, falsify the previous assumption, but it can give benefits in terms of application. People can make use of your findings, of your implication, to conduct his or her own research, or to make use in the sense of their own teaching, preparing their teaching materials, for example. This one might not be a serious one, as I have just told you earlier, that normally I tend to screen the language, but tentatively. But in details, it's the job of the reviewers. And what I have just found is that paper that has been rejected due to the language, in details, it turns out that in details, their writing is so wordy, redundant, and finally confusing. And this can cause the reviewer to reject your papers because they told me that the language is confusing in the paper, make them feel that this paper, or the author of this paper, may not fully understand his or her own research. So how can I believe in their findings, believe in the results? It may be unconvincing. So this set of language can lower the quality of your paper. Okay. The next point, this is just the secondary important issue, the introduction part. Some of the researchers forget to put research gaps in the introduction part, and so this one would make your paper rather weak, because reviewer with questions, why is it worth conducting this research? Okay, so you have to point out the research gap and how you would fix, how you would remedy this gap. And also you can talk about your research question, what you want to know, or your research objective, what you going to do in this research. For the literature review section, the problems that I have found so far is that, as you know, that today's most of the journals tend to publish their articles online. Just a few journals that still have print copy. So when all the articles are online, everything goes faster than what happens in the past. So when you finish your research paper, some other people may publish their papers on online or already online, already on the website. So the reviewer would question you that why don't you review that article? Okay, so this is the problems of today's that technology develop fast. So we have to catch up with this as well. The last part is the conclusion part. That some may miss the point that you say the research gap, but in your conclusion part, you didn't provide any information that you have already fixed the gap or you have already remedied the gap. Or some rest to research questions, opposed to research question, which just answer one question. So this is not a complete conclusion part. Okay, this is all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Assistant Professor Kandaporn, for that enlightening talk. Definitely one of the clearest takeaways that we got from there is understanding how the format and the scope, and of course the language used, as it exhibits our understanding of the paper we are writing. And I like the way when it was stressed the implications of the study.